Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So, Marvel movies are kind of a touchy subject for people. I know people who will say that they're not real cinema. I know people who say that it's like, oh, it's just a theme park ride, but it's a movie. Maybe you've heard the term, I hear it as cape shit, but they're superhero movies. They're comic book stuff. Not saying they can't have these big sweeping stories or anything like that, but at the end of the day it's a comic book movie. While you can get those kind of stories out of them, I think it's kind of odd to really look at these as this like big huge thing that's happening in Hollywood. Like, most of the time they just go off of stories that were written decades ago, these old comic stories. And yeah, they'll do a little bit of adaptation here and there, but nothing's really groundbreaking out of it. And I don't mean that as a bad thing at all. Comic book movies are, I mean, I like them. I like comic books. So most of the time I'm going to like a comic book movie as long as it's at least sort of close to the original source material. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool to see these characters come to life on screen. Sometimes it's not always what you'd expect, but yeah, it's still really interesting to see these, like characters that I feel like I grew up with, reading about them, and now it's like, Mark Ruffalo's the Hulk. Like, how does that even happen? You know? But the new Marvel movie that's coming out, Thor: Love and Thunder, it's gotten a little bit of heat from someone who I expected to be angry at a comic book movie because he prides himself on this whole like comic book sort of stuff, but doesn't really get into comic books. It just seems like he enjoys the look of nerdiness. If you don't know who I'm talking about TheQuartering. Um, yeah, he made some video about you know how this movie's gonna be all woke and PC and blah blah, and this like he does with literally any kind of media that's coming out. One of the things that he brings up is Jane Foster's character, how she's gonna be the next Thor. He's not the only person who I've seen complain about this, but yeah, there's all these like, oh yeah, they're making a girl be Thor because it's 2022 and everything's got to be like PC and woke or whatever sort of ridiculous reason that they're gonna give you. But the thing that doesn't make sense about that is Jane Foster was Thor in the comics. Like, nowhere near recent times did this happen. Thor's not just been, blonde, brolic big man. The power of Thor has been Jane Foster's. The power of Thor. Oh my god, I'm so mad I cannot remember his name right now. The like long mouth, dog looking man, horse looking man, whatever. Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill. He's been Thor. Like, literally had the like seals on his chest, the cape, hammer, everything. The way that Marvel does Thor, like Thor was a man, sure, but it's all the power of Thor. And it's not that it's like in the hammer, but Odin can sort of just like, okay, you get to be Thor now. You get to be Thor now because he's Odin and he can kind of do that. It's all about who's worthy to be Thor or to have the powers of Thor. So, yeah, Marvel canon is that Jane Foster does become Thor at some point. Why are you upset that Marvel's doing what their comics say? I don't understand it. I mean, the first time I saw Jane Foster Thor in a comic book, I mean, it was a little odd at first just because I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really expecting that. But then you think about it for, more than 5 seconds and you realize how in that cult, like in Norse culture, the idea of shield maidens and women fighting, the Valkyries. There's a lot of presence in Norse mythology about fighting women. So Marvel choosing to have a woman be Thor, not only does it fit in Marvel's idea of what Thor is, but it sort of fits with the Norse idea of the strength of women in battle. If you're really complaining about a woman Thor, I don't think you read the comics. Or I would really like to know what your complaint is, to be honest. If there's some underlying reason why you think that Lady Thor isn't going to work, hit me, you know? But, you need to understand that this is a comic book movie about the Norse religion that has been westernized by Marvel. So, it's fictional. They got lightning coming out of their hands. That doesn't happen in real life, right? So the idea that you couldn't have a woman use a hammer and beat people up, like, that happens for real. Women actually hit people with hammers. You don't need superpowers to do that. But I'm excited for the movie. I like the Thor movies. The only one that I didn't really like was Dark World, but I feel like that's sort of across the board. No one really liked Thor 2. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to give a review on a movie that I've never seen because I'm not ridiculous like TheQuartering is. I'm not going to say that I'll never see a movie because I think it's woke or PC. I want to see it because I like Thor and I like Marvel. And hopefully that's why you want to see it. But until it comes out, y'all have a good day.